Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. I'm Kyle, your host. Today, going to go over some KISS training principles that I jotted down for you guys. I wanted to make this one for a little while. Should put some clarity on the process of training and becoming better physically, mentally, and spiritually. Before I get into that, the good book I read this summer, A Guide to the Good Life. It's about the ancient art of Stoicism. So I've had people tell me throughout the years that I'm a Stoic, blah, blah, blah. How do you become more Stoic? And I don't really know much about it, to be honest with you. It's just a natural thing. So I decided to study it. Study a little more philosophy. Study Stoicism. But one of the things within the first few pages, it says, for the Stoics, a person's virtue does not depend, for example, on her sexual history. Instead, it depends on her excellence as a human being, on how well she performs the function for which humans were designed for. How well she can perform the functions for which humans were designed for. So think about that. The definition of fitness, the definition that I use, is your ability to do the task at hand without fatigue. For most of us, that's life, right? How do we show up and live our best life? I don't believe, unless you are physically training, that you can be living your best life. I don't believe it's possible. I believe there's a big hole in your life if you're not getting physical fitness, even if it's a daily walk, whatever it is. But I don't believe it's possible. There's a reason the body is the temple. It must be nurtured and taken care of. It must be pushed. It must exert itself. Something we've lost, right, the past 100 years, 50 years, 40 years, 30. I mean, it just keeps getting softer and softer when you look at society. So as far as the KISS training principles, hip and grip. If you train your hips and you train your grip, you're going to be set. So grip work can be direct grip work. It could be doing heavy pulling stuff, heavy back, right? Heavy holds with like a deadlift, hex deadlift, farmer's walks. And then your hips. Get strong in your hips. Get strong in single-legged positions, single-legged squats, single-legged deadlifts, conventional deadlift, conventional box squat, all these things. Get strong on these things. So when you need to perform in life, and as you get older, your hips are your key. Your hips and your grip. Train the hips, train the grip. You didn't know what else to do. You do those two things, you'd be good. Train your traps a lot, your upper back. Traps, rhomboids, okay? The muscles that give your back really good definition, like for a woman, if you're wearing like a backless shirt, you want to be able to see those muscles. For men, you can see these muscles through the shirt. It's a look of power. And as we age, the muscles on the backside will shrink and atrophy. They will shrink and atrophy. We want to fight against that, but there's so many stabilizing effects on the spine and having good health to having correlated with upper back strength, upper back development, that I think traps and rhomboids you could sprinkle into every single workout. Real simple, right? Who doesn't want big traps, right? As a woman, you're not going to overly develop them, but it's a good look and it's very functional. My training philosophy is that we should train at or near our anaerobic threshold. At or near the anaerobic threshold. You have to build up to this, obviously. What does that mean? That means training to the point where you're working without oxygen. So you've crossed over. So I have always believed that as soon as you can have a conversation, you should have already started your next set. So this way we're getting strength and conditioning and cardiovascular effect within the workout. It's much tougher to work out this way, but you're stressing the body. That's what we're ultimately trying to do when we're training, is stress the body in a good way, in a tough way. but to get an adaptation. That is key. You have 5 movements really when you break it down. I might throw in a 6, but the body can push, it can pull, it can change levels, so that would be your squat. It can hip hinge, which would be your deadlift type position. And it can carry stuff. Other than that, you can throw in a little bit of core, but if you do all those movements, you're doing everything that the body needs. Much easier to train that way rather than say, okay, I'm going to isolate this, I'm going to isolate this on the next day. The body doesn't really work like that. Now, bodybuilding is a sport, and there's clues to success leaves clues, right? But even traditional bodybuilding, I stopped training traditionally for that probably in my 2007 contest. 2008 for sure, where I was never just doing a set and sitting around, right? It was complexes. It was aiming for that anaerobic threshold, even if I was training like chest. Okay, so let's do chest, and I work in a frontal plane movement with my lower body. Something to keep my heart going. The last thing really is you got to challenge yourself. I see this all the time. Too many strength coaches now, I should say a lot of them, have gotten too fancy, too scientific in what they are trying to do. They've gotten, they overthink the process. You need to help people, and you yourself in your training should be training to become mentally tougher. Your mind is always going to give up before your body. You want to become mentally tougher. You have to do this through training hard and pushing beyond where you think you can go. This is where coaching comes into play. Coach can get you from point A to point B. A B is a spot you can't get to on your own. It's based in the term stagecoach. But you got to challenge yourself. At least one of your workouts every week should be a challenge where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Or man, this is going to suck in some ways. Like, enjoy it, right? I can tell you for the Friday workouts, which is typically the hardest workout of the week for me. People love jumping in on that, which is really cool. This Friday I might be by myself, I'm not sure. But I can tell you last Friday, right, we did lower body, did some tough stuff, and then we finished with a heavy set of box squats. So we had a safety bar, which is like 70 pounds. We had 3 plates and a 25 on each shot. All right. So we did 5 reps with that weight. Took off the 25. So we did 10 reps with 3 plates on each shot. Then took off the 145 on each shot. Then with 2 plates on each shot, we did 10 reps. Took off another plate. And then we did 20 reps with 1 plate on each shot. That was hard. That was very, very hard. And it's meant to challenge myself and push myself and make myself better. And then the body follows after that. Your body always has more to give, though. The main thing is challenge yourself. Back in high school, we had a coach, Coach Reefy, who's still a legendary coach there for track and field and cross country. But at the time, high schools didn't have full-time strength coaches yet. And he had that role in the summer. He would train us for football. And he used to kill us. He used to destroy us. He used to push us. I mean, he would have us do 18 200s. Right, he would have us do 10 400s. And this was after hitting the weight room. Kids would be dragging themselves. I mean, they were so tired, but we got in such good shape, we became mentally tough. And you know what? That carried over to the weight room. We weren't cheating sets. We weren't only doing sets when the coach was looking. If you didn't do something, the other players were going to get on you. The upperclassmen were going to get on you. You want to have that culture. You want to be around people when you're training that are challenging themselves, because that energy carries over to you. So these are very simple training principles. Train your hip and your grip. Train 5 movements. Train at or near your anaerobic threshold. Train your traps a lot, your traps and rhomboids. And challenge yourself. Do those things and you will be okay. You will become a better human being, as I talked about in the beginning. You'll be more able to withstand the daily fitness that is needed for life. And when you challenge yourself, guys, in a workout and you really push, everything else is easy. Any conversation you have to have, anything else that you have to go through is easy in comparison. So use it as a frame of reference. All right, we got Panda number 12 starting on Monday. If you'd like to do that, just drop a line. We still have a few spots open. It's highly effective, better than any nutritionist or dietitian based plan you're going to find. Trust me when I tell you that. This is the pinnacle of how humans should eat, and your body will change dramatically. I guarantee that. All right, you guys have a great day.